Hi peeps. I hope you're well. I am I'm adamant I'm gonna get a video out today, but as you can hear, I'm still holding on to this flu and have been referred to as one of Marge Simpson's sisters who I can't patty, is it? We're gonna have to just move on and get over it. So hi, how are you? Um If you've been following along on Substack, you will know that we have just moved into week 15 of Notes on Becoming, which is a series that I've written and is aimed at solitary practitioners, spiritual misfits, and quiet devotees who are walking a self defined, self crafted path and learning to actually live their practice in daily life. It offers space to think, space to feel, and remember what matters without the prescriptions that often come with organized religions or practices, or that certain level of performance that can often be asked of us when we're working on mass. And so the series is really a collection of considerations and explorations that helped me evolve and explore my own syncretic practice. I found it very difficult to explore and connect with my ancestral lineages and also maintain one path. So my practice is syncretic. It is built of many different lineages, um, and it honors many different practices. And so my work exists in how they all overlap. And obviously, when you're exploring many different lineages, there's no one right answer for anything. There's no one path. There's no one mentor. So these explorations and considerations and prompts are are things that I buffed up against in my own spiritual path that I thought would be really helpful for other people who are perhaps considering overlapping lineages and practices, or work better when they are, or feel like their spiritual practice is more authentic when they are walking it alone, solitarily, right? So, Notes on Becoming is why it covers six different parts throughout the year. It's 1 year long, and we've just finished the cycle of Foundations of the Self, which was 11 essays exploring what it means to return to yourself with honesty and care. And those first reflections looked at presence, trust, daily devotion, boundaries, and the quiet rituals, the small everyday rituals that help you rebuild your inner consistency, steadiness, and give you something to return to on a daily basis. They invited a slower, more human approach to spiritual life and an experience that's rooted in the ordinary moments and shaped by curiosity and compassion and integrity. And now we are three essays into part two, which is all about sacred connection, which continues that thread through the ways we create meaning and relate to what feels sacred to us. And I wanted to share with you this week's post, which is called The Symbols We Carry. Each post, I should say, each week consists of an essay, um, just to sort of consider certain talking points, reflections, things that might need to be brought into alignment with your own ways of thinking about things, ways of doing. And then it's followed by a series of questions that can either be used as a tarot spread or journal prompts for you to consider as you walk through the week. And then most of the time, there's a small practice. And I do say small practices because I'm very much, I mean, my business is called Little Rituals. For me, everything is, I suppose, the most sacred moments are found in the small things that we connect with every single day. And if we can make those little rituals sacred and meaningful, they are not too big and not too, all encompassing, then they're less likely to be dropped. They're less likely to be overlooked. And it means that we can keep consistent as we move throughout our life and experience. So this week, week 15, is focusing on spirituality through the lens of material culture and um, how we attribute meaning to the things we wear, the things we hold, the objects that we keep close, tools, etc., and how they might reflect our faith, our memories, and our own story of becoming. And this topic is one that connects really deeply with me, to my own creative and spiritual evolution. This was actually one of the topics of my final major practical, sorry, in the last year of university, where I was wrapped up in a project called Talking Objects, which explored and celebrated everyday narratives through material culture as a way to highlight the authentic everyday experiences that often get overlooked by educators and museums and community groups and digital platforms, because our culture as a standard focuses on the first, those who came first, those who are famous, and those who did it flawlessly. And because of that, because we use those points to present historical evolution, we miss the everyday processes, we miss the everyday experiences that grounded us as a human race. Um, so I was really interested in how we could find connection to others through shared human experiences and build familiarity and empathy through stories around that we have in our material world, in our objects, right? And in the project, people were invited to contribute a photo of an object that had meaning for them and then the story to support it. And then those images and stories would be presented to the world in random places like a bus stop poster or a tube banner. You know, when you're sitting on the tube, they've got the banners above your heads, or just on your social media feed. And it was a way to explore intersectionality, or I suppose in a way that honors intersectionality, and allows us to investigate the various concepts of diversity and inclusion through how we attach and attribute meaning to objects that we use in our everyday life. So this is a huge topic for me, how we, make and attribute meaning to anything, whether it's tarot or an object or an experience or a memory, is a subject that I could just get lost in for a very, very long time. And this Sunday's post just passed, um, the symbols we carry. It reminded me of that project. So the essay itself explores how humans have always carried symbols and expressed them, use symbols to express their identity, their beliefs, their devotions, their intentions, and the forms in which those symbols appear through things like jewelry. We charge jewelry, we have tattoos, we ink our skin, we hold charms that maybe our children have given to us. We choose the same mug even though we have 20 on the shelf every morning because it's the one that we like, right? And it's how those objects hold personal and cultural and social meaning for us in whatever way. Excuse me. Um, so another aspect of the essay is that is looking at those objects and how those objects have acted as bridges between the seen and the unseen, giving form to our faith and our intentions. Which brings me back to the thought of having these consistent little rituals. They become anchors of self-care and connection to our practice, to our experience, to someone else, to others. And as our relationship evolves with these symbols and these objects, um, letting go of them can become as meaningful as holding on to them. So, part of spiritual practice is to be able to discern when a practice, a belief, or a system, or a connection, or an energetic connection is no longer working for us. And so, the work of being able to move on from or away from energies becomes just as important. Otherwise, things get overwhelming really quickly. So the ongoing task is to tend this dialogue between symbol and self to ensure that what we are carrying still reflects who we are becoming. So I have a tarot spread. You can use this as a tarot spread or just as journal prompts to sort of prompt the consideration about how you attribute meaning to an object or a symbol. And I feel like this is particularly good when you are considering the role of the objects that you hold, the tools you use, repeatedly turning to in our everyday lives, right? It can be useful if you are considering charging an object with a specific intention or energy, or if you're feeling a shift or a transition in how meaning is changing or evolving or being attributed to a certain manifestation. So, obviously, with this practice, I would strongly recommend that you have said object or symbol, whatever it might be. It might be a drawing of a bind rune. It might be your mug of tea that you pick up every morning. If you're like me, it will probably be the mug of tea. Um, and to really sit in with the energy and what you feel when you hold that object, you know, the role it plays in your life as you use it or hold it or wear it, and writing down your initial thoughts on what that might be or the shift or the transition you feel might be unfolding for you. And then we have 5 positions, spreads, card positions, or journal prompts, whatever you will. So, number 1 is, what energy am I holding close? From the perspective of the object, this is the object, the idea, the emblem that has stayed with you, the energy that has stayed. What energy are you holding close? Number 2 is, what does this energy mirror in me? How does this symbol reflect who I am or what I'm currently experiencing? If you feel like you need to pull another, 2 cards for each of these questions or 3 cards for each of these questions, then you do you. There's no rules on this. One of the things that you will learn in the Notes on Becoming series and anything I teach is that you set the rules. Number 3 is, what energy is fading? So this is the story, the energy, or the attachment that no longer fits or is requiring further reflection or consideration on your part. This might be, if you're feeling a shift in energy or transition, this will be relating to the thing that seems to be leaving. What energy still asks for my attention? The part of my devotional and care that needs renewal or attention, right? What energy still asks for my attention? And then number 5 is, how might I honor this shift? This is a way to keep the relationship alive through release, rededication, recharging, or rest. It might be that the object or the symbol that you hold dear is asking to not be used right now or not be used in certain situations. Now, for this spread, I'm really, really liking the Lost Oracle, the Magic of the Oracle, both decks by Fiona Horn, um, because they come with action points. Another one that comes with very specific questions in times where you just aren't feeling up to deep diving into the translation, or you just want a prompt to kick you off. Another one is the Da Vinci Tarot. Da Vinci Enigma Tarot, which has very specific open questions for every card in the deck. So that's a good one. Another oracle that I tend to turn to is either the Citadel Oracle or the Archetypes Oracle, to focus on the archetypal energy of objects, which might give you insight into the areas of life that they are supporting you with. Let me know how you find the spread. And if you want to read the full essay and other essays in the Notes on Becoming series, you can click the link in the description below. These are weekly reflections, tarot spreads, meditations, and journaling prompts, and they're all free to read. So until next time, stay fabulous.